Okay, Mixtape is by far the best game I have played this year. Before getting into this, I beg of you, if you have any desire to play this game, go buy it and play it now. It's only 3 or 4 hours long and it's even on Game Pass, but it is insanely worth it. And I feel it is best to enjoy it on its own and not have any of the stories or gameplay snippets spoiled for you. After that, you can come back here and watch the rest of the video. But if you're going to take anything away from this review, it is this. This game is incredible. Truly one of my Game of the Year contenders, no doubt. I seriously can't believe how much of an impression it is left on me in such a short time frame. I wish there was 3 or even 4 more times of this game, as I could play this style of game for hours on end. If you can't tell by now, I heavily recommend this game to everyone, and consider it a must play for anyone even remotely interested in games. Now, with that gushing out of the way, let's get into why I feel this game is one of the best games of recent times and a true masterpiece in coming of age stories. Okay, so first off, what is Mixtape? Well, it's a narrative adventure game from Beethoven and Dinosaur, published by Annapurna Interactive. It follows Stacey Rockford and her 2 friends as they have one last night together before they go their separate ways. With a curated mixtape created by Stacey for the perfect last day, it pulls them back through different memories from their teenage years. As the game goes on, you'll be preparing for a big party to cap off the night, whilst reliving some formative memories through these small playable vignettes. Think the little story segments from What Remains of Edith Finch if you've played that. You might be skating down hills, skipping rocks on a lake, drunkenly stumbling through a blockbuster. All these little moments we get to see how this group grew up and became as close as they are now. None of them last too long, but the impact on the building of these characters is immense. What Mixtape gets right more than anything is the feeling of remembering something. Not the factual, clean version of events, not an exhaustive look into what happened, but that messy, overblown, rose-tinted glasses version that lives in your head all those years later. You have some fantastical elements to some of these vignettes. You might soar through the skies, blow up cars with a middle finger. Feels like the game really nailing that visualization of nostalgia, where everything is bigger and better than it probably was, where every rough edge has been forgotten, and those small moments become cornerstones of your formative years. Everyone has those moments in their life they look back on, with fond memories of those simpler times when we were younger, reminiscing on those small moments you had with people that meant so much back then. This game absolutely nails that feeling, and allows you to step into Stacey's head for a short time, and experience those memories through her own lens, as she looks back on the time with her friends one last time before she leaves. The closest feeling I've had that is comparable to this in my mind was probably the first Life is Strange. Not because the games are similar mechanically, but because both games feel very personal and real with their character moments. That feeling of being pulled into a place, a group of people, in a very specific emotional moment. Like I said earlier, it also has elements of What Remains of Edith Finch there too, as they both use these little playable vignettes to build character and explore who these people were. You don't just get an audio log or an exposition dump. You're stepping into the memories to live them out, and that builds such a deeper connection to these characters that in the short 4 hours I played, I felt more emotionally attached to these 3 than some 30+ hour games I've played. And that leads us on to the characters themselves, and man, they really nailed these. I was really surprised by just how quickly this game got me to buy into these 3. Rockford, Slater and Cassandra could have easily been some shallow teenage archetypes, but the game gives all these small hints to much deeper details just lying beneath the surface. There are so many of these small moments that just make them feel so real. The little throwaway lines, the inside jokes, the references to events that you even play through at times, all of it just builds up such a good chemistry between the leads that you get really emotionally invested to the teenage drama going on. You can tell that Stacey is trying to set up the perfect last day with her mixtape, and keeps trying to avoid the hard talk about her leaving her friends. How that quickly falls apart when things don't go along to her perfect plan. You get small insights into each of their home lives, each building upon what we know of the character, and contextualizing some of their traits and decisions. Some characters in games feel like they only exist in the game for a small purpose they serve, as if they had no prior history to the game starting. This game's the complete opposite. So many little details, from the items you interact with around the room giving small tidbits of history between the characters or other people in the town, small conversations that take place when moving around the place just build up this expansive feeling that makes it feel more like we're just observing some teenagers going through an attempt at an epic last day, rather than a contrived game where the characters just kind of exist to move the game along. They are not perfect people as well, far from it if anything. They're all flawed in their own ways, and that just makes them that much more appealing. At the end of the game, I wanted nothing more than to just keep watching their lives play out, not wanting to leave this group of friends I've become very fond of over my time with the game. They're truly some of my favourite characters in a game I played recently. With only a short runtime, the game managed to get me to buy in this deep with such a short time with them, but I think it's a huge testament to how well they've been written. Have to give big props to the voice actors as well here. They really brought the characters to life, and one of the best ways these characters stick with you are in the vignettes and the gameplay systems. Mechanically, Mixtape is not trying to be some deep systems-driven game or anything. Most of what you do in the game is rather simple. Sometimes you're skating down hills to get to the next spot, others you're skipping rocks at a lake, or even running through a field. But it's in that simplicity of the moments that really pull you into the memories. Some of them are just so serene, or bring you into the moments so well that you can get lost in them. I got so absorbed in the rock throwing segment by the peaceful moment on the lake, that I think I spent a good 5 or 10 minutes after that point you could leave, just skipping rocks and trying to hit the various things. The skateboarding especially feels amazing. The way you skate along the winding roads, down the hills, through alleyways, dodging cars, all to an amazing soundtrack and doing tricks as you go. It really just hooks you into that moment. It's not an in-depth skateboarding system, but it doesn't need to be either. Just enough to let you enjoy the moment and immerse you into that feeling. Then there are some of the weirder gameplay segments as well that still work, like a kissing minigame where you control both tongues, awkward as it would be in that first moment, or when you're riding on the back of a dinosaur as you witness a meteor in the sky get ever closer. Some of them are ridiculous, but they still work altogether. Developers have managed to embody that teenage feeling so well, in the bizarreness of it all or where your imagination can take you. And all of this is tied together by the amazing soundtrack. Now, I'd love to just play for you some of the moments in this game where the soundtrack brings the whole thing together, but seeing as this is all licensed track for some amazing artists, I'll be avoiding that in this video. All I can say is the music is a huge part of why all this works. They have chosen the songs perfectly, and I do love the way Stacey introduces each track and sometimes gives a little background information on the tracks and the artists. Now, I may be biased as the soundtrack very much suits my tastes, but I do think they perfectly nail that teenage coming of age vibe with the picks here. The whole game is built around the idea that these songs are memory triggers. Stacey has composed this mixtape to relive some of their best moments together, with each song a reminder of a certain event, or chosen to evoke a specific feeling or memory. I do really love the fourth wall breaking elements of the introductions to the song as well. Kinda reminds me of the cut-ins in something like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. The game just feels like a celebration of that generation of music and culture, and I think it works even if you didn't live through that era, or have those same connections to some of the things shown off here. I know I didn't, and it still hit for me really well. The presentation of the game as well is just beautiful. The graphics are amazing, especially loved how the lighting was used, made it all look so picturesque. The menus as well, being styled like a cassette tape or a CD, just add more to that vibe. Even small little interactions like having to rewind the tape with a pencil to play it just show that this team really nails the vibe they're going for. Now, I do have a few small caveats, but honestly, these are only minor grievances and are in no way deal breakers for me. First, it's quite a short game. I finished it in around 4 hours, but you could easily shave off about half an hour or more of that if you beeline everything, and I absolutely wanted more of this. When the credits rolled, my immediate reaction wasn't that it felt hollow or I felt shortchanged, more that I wanted just 3 or 4 times more of this, as I didn't want to say goodbye to the group. But I also think the length does fit the theme quite well. This is a game about one last hurrah before leaving, and not having enough time left together before you go your separate ways to do everything you wanted. It has that theme of just time is running out. So even though I wanted more, I do think this is at least partially acceptable with how it played out. But I wouldn't say no to more of this, and I beg the team at Beethoven and Dinosaur to make more like this, as I can't get enough of it. The only other thing was a small section sort of midway through that felt a bit sudden. Not going to spoil it or anything, but it did feel like a character swing that felt a little forced to make some conflict happen so it could be resolved later. But other than that, I loved the writing. Performance-wise, it ran flawlessly, no bugs, no crashes, nothing really to comment on in that area. I've also heard it's verified on Steam Deck, so that's a plus as well. So, who is Mixtape for? Honestly, I want to say everyone should give this game a go, but if you only want games with deep mechanics or a long campaign, then this may not be for you. It's short, guided, and much more an experience of characters and mood than traditional gameplay depth. But I do beg you, if you have any inclination towards this, or like good narratives and strong character writing, please give this game a go. It's on Game Pass if you have that, and it's only around $20 or 16 quid, but everyone has their own value considerations. I know it isn't a long game, but I do feel it is worth every moment that it runs. This is probably one of the strongest I've ever felt for a game in a long time, and I heavily recommend Mixtape to everyone. So yeah, I went into Mixtape hoping it would be good, and had heard some good rumblings over the months from people who had gotten their hands on it at events and such. But even with that positive outlook going into it, Mixtape absolutely blew me away. It's easily my favourite game of the year so far, and is at the top of my Game of the Year contenders list. And I imagine other games are going to have a hard time displacing that for now. This is the sort of game that reminds me why I truly love this medium in the first place. So yeah, play Mixtape. Seriously, just go and play it. And if you have played it, I would genuinely love to know if it hit you the same way it hit me. Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, then hit the like button. And if you want more clear, honest game recommendations, subscribing would really help out the channel. See you in the next one.